Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest updates surrounding Manchester United. We got some updates surrounding the goalkeeper position. A man named Garcia and a man named Onana. We're going to get into that story. We got a little bit of the injury updates, as you may already be aware, because it happened a few hours ago, but we'll talk about that as well. Ahmad, Delo, a couple of the players. We got some updates as well in transfers surrounding Anthony Garnacho and a little bit of Ederson. We got an Ederson talk as well that we got to get to. Another one that seems to be bubbling a little bit more quickly than maybe previously. Not as much as Cunha and not as much as maybe Delap or the striker position, but he has been mentioned quite a few times over the course of the last couple months since January. And yeah, there's been some updates on that, so we're gonna get good stuff. It's Friday, so after we do the little updates, the chat's gonna dictate what we talk about. So get involved in the live chat and talk about whatever you want, but get involved. Make sure you smash the like button. We need the likes. The likes help the channel grow. So if you could smash that like button, we greatly appreciate it, because it's a big help to the channel. So whether you're watching it live or you're watching it after, all the likes push us out there more. So yeah, do that. And if you enjoy the content and you enjoy the community, or you enjoy, the channel, subscribe. Because we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. We're at 2,929. That has not updated yet, but it will at some point. And make sure you hit the notification bell icon, because we're live during the week doing the news, and we're also live after every single match. I know the season's coming to a close, but we are live after every single match doing what we call the Red Devil Recap, which is where we recap the Manchester United matches. So it's gonna be good. It's Friday freestyle. So I guess we'll sort of just get into a little bit of the news here, and we'll start off with this Garcia news. And it goes as, apparently United have contacted Jean Garcia's entourage to make him an offer. He has a 25 million euro release clause, which will rise to 30 million for the last 15 days of the window. And that's coming from Party de Cope via Sport Witness. So this name has been mentioned on our channel quite a bit. I got a couple of the community members that are big fans of Jean Garcia. They want him to be a signing for Manchester United. Lines is in here. It says about bloody time. Yeah, he's one of them. So yeah, he's been going off about it. Again, I don't watch much La Liga and stuff like that, so I can't really rate the guy. But there's been a little bit of talk, obviously, recently, if Manchester United are going to go and get a goalkeeper. I think we got to go and get some sort of a goalkeeper, whether that's going to be an out-and-out direct replacement for Andre Onana. I kind of said this the other day. We need players in all positions that can directly challenge each starting player for their starting spot. They need to be on similar level. They have to have ability. They have to have quality. And I feel like right now we don't really have that. I mean, I know Andre Onana hasn't been outstanding. He hasn't been like amazing. He has some bad mistakes in him, but also I feel like Biende isn't really any better. Maybe in different aspects he is, but as a total package he really isn't. So I don't know if we completely get rid of Andre Onana, but what we really need is a number two that can actually steal the number one spot from Andre Onana. I think at the very least, if we're not going to be able to sell Onana, or if we're not going to sell Onana, the number two needs to be somebody that actually is really going to challenge him and actually can take his spot, like actually for sure, like permanently, I'm talking about. And maybe Jean Garcia can be that guy. I mean, it's a decent fee for a goalkeeper. I think we paid a much higher fee for Onana, but I think it's a decent fee. And if he is actually good and he has the ability to be a number one, I think it would be a good buy around 25-30 million euros, for a goalkeeper that can potentially become your first team goalkeeper. So Lion says Garcia comes in as number one. Simple. Well, maybe, in your mind per se, but sometimes those things don't. Sometimes those things don't transpire that way. I think the more plausible way it would happen is if he does come in. I think there's a possibility. It depends if we sell Onana or not. If we get him and Onana goes, then yeah, obviously he goes directly in as number one. If Onana is here, we sell Biender and we get this guy, I think maybe, possibly, we can see something like Onana may start the season as the number one because he's been here, and maybe Ruben sort of gives him that kind of chance to prove himself or fail. And I think I would probably say when Andre Onana messes up quite big, because I think there's always a mistake in him, and I don't think that's kind of going to go away. I think then comes and creeps in the opportunity for Ruben Amorim to put in João Garcia and put him in as the number one starter. And if João Garcia performs well, I think he then retains that number one position, which leaves Andre Onana kind of, I guess, looking for a move from January on, because I would assume that he would want to play, be the first choice and not be on the bench. So, Lion says, no, statistically one of the best in Europe, but also the eye test, more importantly, he's heads above the rest. I get that, but I kind of feel like the situation, it depends how it goes. If we sell Onana, then I get that, because we're getting rid of the number one goalkeeper we have, and he's coming in. So he's got to be the direct replacement. If we don't sell Onana and we bring this goalkeeper in, I feel like it will be a similar situation to what Arteta did at Arsenal with, I always forget his name now, but their goalkeeper that they had at the time, and David Raya. Because they bring in Raya. Raya was a starting goalkeeper. They bring him in on loan. Everybody was like, or people were trying to say like, oh, it's just to have a good backup. I'm like, you don't go and get that type of goalkeeper just to have a decent backup. There was the key differences in the fact that Raya was, a ball-playing goalkeeper, and Ramsdale wasn't. His name was Ramsdale. I couldn't remember his name. And Ramsdale wasn't. So, for me, I feel like it's that sort of similar situation. He stuck with Ramsdale in the beginning. I think he gave Ramsdale an opportunity. And as soon as he could, he kind of kicked Ramsdale out of the first option, the starting lineup, put in Raya, and then never kind of looked back and stuck with that. And I feel like maybe that could also happen. I would find it a little bit hard for us to sign this guy and just throw Onana straight to the bench if Onana stays on the team. I feel like maybe many people out there would do it, and I can understand that, but I'm trying to look at it from inside the bubble, of the football world. And I kind of feel like if you're just going to make this guy the number one straight off the bat, then there's no point in keeping Onana. Unless maybe we try to sell him and we can't sell him. But, I don't know about all of that. But, what's the chat saying? What's the rest of the chat saying? Temesgen says he wants Cunha, Ederson, Delap, Kirkez, De Jong, Nico Williams to United is better. He's added De Jong today. RSV says, big up. I prefer Chevrolet. I definitely said his name wrong, but I'm going to call him Chevrolet over João Garcia. I am being brutally honest. That's fine. I don't really know too much about both goalkeepers. Again, goalkeeper is not my strong suit. I will admit that. I could tell you anything about a striker, a center back, wing backs, center midfielders, pretty much any position besides goalkeeper. I don't pay too much attention to the goalkeepers. Obviously, I have a general understand about goalkeepers. There's some goalkeepers out there that obviously, like, just by the eye test, you just say, yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. But I don't go too in-depth in the goalkeepers. I don't look at the statistics. I never paid too much attention to the goalkeeping position in terms of angles and, you know, how they're supposed to necessarily position. So I can't do like in-depth analysis on the goalkeeper. I'm very basic when it comes to goalkeeper. But I mean, that's fine. That's fine if you prefer Chevrolet. Lyle is here, says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. How you doing, Mr. Lyle? Hope everybody is good. And Lion says, yeah, Nana becomes number 2. I don't know if it happens immediately, though. I will argue that with you, Lions. I don't know if it happens right off the bat. I mean, it could, and I could be wrong. I mean, it could very well. I kind of have this feeling that it wouldn't happen immediately. I kind of feel like it would be sort of a Ramsdale Raya type of thing, where Onana gets to start the season. He gets to, you know, fight to keep his spot. There's pressure on him. How are you going to handle that pressure? Because now there's a goalkeeper that can definitely take your place. And maybe I would kind of prefer that as well, because new goalkeeper, let him get in the training, let him, you know, get used to sort of the team, let him adjust a little bit, let him sort of focus on his game a little bit, because the only difference is Raya was playing in the Premier League. So you didn't even really need to do that, although there is some sort of a transition when you go to a new team as well. Anyway, regardless of Premier League proven. But, I think, you know, maybe it would happen after a certain period of time. But we don't even know if we're going to actually get this goalkeeper, because this is, I mean, I'm going to be honest, this isn't the strongest source, and there hasn't been really anybody else that has given us this sort of update. And we had about 2 other updates that kind of, one plays into it a little bit. The other one kind of is not really like transfer news, but it depends how you look at it. So, this one update came from Fabrizio saying, in terms of what Manchester United paid to Inter for Onana, they don't want to lose any money. He is still appreciated in Saudi, a good proposal, or he will stay. So United's sort of standpoint on the goalkeeper position is that they're not 100% against selling him, and they're not 100% sold on keeping him, but they don't want to take necessarily a loss, and I guess they're gonna go for the sort of gamble that unless they get a good proposal, which they haven't quoted what that is in terms of a fee for them, then he will apparently stay at Manchester United. So I don't know what that means in terms of, I mean, I know that we need another goalkeeper, because I think Binder will go. I think Binder wants to go, but I think we're looking for some sort of a second/third type of goalkeeper, because Heaton's retiring as well. I would probably just get the second goalkeeper that can challenge and actually be the number 1, and then promote one of our youth goalkeepers to 3rd string, and let them be the 3rd string goalkeeper. I don't see the need to really go and kind of get 2 goalkeepers. But they do like to fill the 3rd spot with somebody that has some sort of experience, and is usually older, that kind of just, you know, chills out there and sits there, and is never really used unless, you know, we end up in some sort of a disaster that we need to use them. So, but the little update, the little tidbit that comes with this is that apparently Mr. Onana has bought a new 3.5 million pound mansion in Manchester. I went into the comments to see what people were saying, and the top comment was, smart move, because he's going to replace Ederson at Manchester City. And that's obviously not going to happen. They're joking, but let's just say the comment section was very negative about this. People calling him dumb, people saying he must not know that we're trying to sell him. You know, people saying he's not smart on and off the pitch and stuff like that. So I don't think they were too happy about this, because I guess you know, most people are reading into it. That means that he doesn't think he's going anywhere, and he doesn't necessarily want to go anywhere. So, yeah. Axe is eating, which he usually does at this around this time, but he's here and he's listening. RSV said we had the opportunity to sign Adam Wharton when he was playing for Blackburn Rovers. Right now would cost us excess of 100 million. He's basically the next Michael Carrick. Well, I mean, maybe so, but I mean, no, he's not worth 100 million. And they can offer 100 million all they want. They should be, they should ask. I mean, they can ask for 100 million all they want. They're not gonna get it. In fact, they should be kind of, some of the teams should be careful with this, because a player like that, holding him to ransom of 100 million, because that's crazy. I don't care who it is. Realistically, I mean, 100 million, I will say they should be careful, because some of these players are going out of their way to run down their contracts, and football is changing in that manner. So, they could hold out for 100 and they could get way less than they can actually get right now if they were actually to be decent about things. Do we really distrust Onana now? No patience for him already. I mean, it's been 2 seasons. And he hasn't been great in really both seasons. I mean, he's kind of cost us a lot of points. He's cost us a lot of matches, in terms of performances. He's done good in some matches, but he's been highly inconsistent in both seasons. And yeah, the general sentiment is that I think a lot of people don't really want him on the team at the current moment in time. Now, you couldn't give him another season and see how it goes, and maybe he improves, and maybe he can, be a great goalkeeper for Manchester United. But there has been talk about this, and it's sort of, from Ruben's standpoint. Again, I will point this out. When Bruno Fernandes was linked to Real Madrid, he shut it down immediately the next day and said Bruno Fernandes is going absolutely nowhere. When it comes to these other players, he either has not been asked about it or has not shut it down, and closed the book on it. So I think from the club's point of view, I think that nothing is necessarily off the table, barring a couple players, but they're not panicking, really. If they can get a good deal, they'll do it. If they can't get a good deal, then they'll keep them and use them. I think that's kind of where we are right now. RSV says, we urgently need a progressive passer and distributor of the ball who can play the right through balls and the right pass into the space between the opposition defense and midfield, and the right switches of play. I think we do. We do. We probably need a better operator in the midfield. We need some sort of a magician there. We've been missing that type of player since Carrick. We have. We've been missing a lot of players since Carrick's time in a lot of positions. So, and Pogba wasn't being properly utilized to his strengths as well, says RSV. Lion says it's not distrust. He said, I believe I'm one of the biggest Onana defenders on the channel, but Garcia is just better. And that's a fair point. Again, for me, I would say goalkeeper, I would probably put a couple positions before it, specifically the striker and the 10. And I think maybe United maybe have... I think the way United are looking at it is striker 10, midfielder, which could possibly be Ederson, some sort of a center back, and then maybe a goalkeeper. I don't know if they're so pressed about the goalkeeper as some fans. Like, I know Almo lists Onana at number 1. He lists him as number 1 problem. He lists him at number 1 priority position to be replaced, and something that needs to be done this summer, which is fine because that's his opinion. But I don't know if the club is following in that general way. I think they're looking at it sort of lower down on the list, a lesser priority. So I don't know. Elias says he's on 1% battery on the way to the office. Catch you on a bit and behave, chat. Yes. So we'll catch you in a little bit. I need to take a sip. RSV says Onana has made more errors in 2 years than De Gea in 12 years at the club. And Axe says, to me, Onana is another player disappointed by Amorim. He has certainly regressed under Amorim. He is not encouraged and supported by the manager. He was one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. I mean, I disagree with that statement, Axe, because, Ten Hag was here, and he didn't do so well under Ten Hag either. I actually can't tell you which season was worse. Statistically, between last season and this season. So between Ten Hag and Amorim, because I don't know the statistics, but I mean, he single handedly got us knocked out of the Champions League, essentially, by the errors that he made in the Champions League. So, and then he had errors in the Premier League as well. So, I mean, both seasons under two different managers have not gone well. So, I disagree that he's a player disappointed by Amorim, because if he's a player disappointed by Amorim, then he was a player disappointed by Erik Ten Hag as well, which I don't think he's disappointed by the managers in any way. I don't agree with that. He was performing as one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. At the time, he was in good form at Inter Milan, and he was playing very, very good. But actually, if you go throughout his career, the mistakes that he's making at Manchester United, he's made these mistakes throughout his career as well. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird case, because when you come to United, again, it's a different sort of pressure and it's a different sort of microscope. And he seems to be a bit erratic sometimes, and I feel like he doesn't stay composed, and I feel like he loses his head a little bit. He does have a big character, which can play to his advantage at Manchester United, because you kind of need that to be successful at Manchester United. But he needs to be more consistent, and he needs to make less mistakes, and especially the bad mistakes that he makes, where he should be saving the ball, and he doesn't. Like we saw versus Lyon when Matic was talking smack about him. So Sandy says, "Good evening, bro. What is the topic for today for Manchester?" Well, we're just talking a little bit of just some general news. I mean, there's some updates about Delo injuries, Ahmad, Ederson, couple things about Anthony Garnacho, and a little bit about Onana as well. And then kind of just a freestyle, whatever the chat wants to talk about. We'll talk about that. Axe says, carrying Inter on his back, you can argue that Latino life suits him better, but he's been abused and disregarded by the fans and the manager. I don't think he's been disregarded by Ruben Amorim. I mean, he was dropped once or twice, and I think rightfully he should have been dropped, and it kind of sorted him out. I think he's been disregarded by the manager. If he's disregarded by the manager, he wouldn't be playing. He wouldn't be playing. And carrying Inter on his back, I also don't agree with that. I mean, he played very well, and he played an important part. But Inter are a very good team. They were in the Champions League final, and they're a very good defensive unit. And they're always like that. I mean, they were like that, the year before. They're like that now. My money is on Inter to win the Champions League, because I find them so hard to break down. And I think they do a very good job. So, yeah. I don't know. Access, stay hydrated. I mean, always, yes. Onana, he's not a good goalkeeper, says Sani. He has got old now. This manager, he doesn't want people who are easy and weak. Is very tough. He is a very tough. Ruben is a very tough coach. Lion says, and Onana was underperforming under Erik Ten Hag. So how is that Amorim argument relevant? Like, seriously? Yeah, I mean, I don't really, I don't go into that line of thinking really, because I just don't see how it has to do with Amorim specifically. I just think that it's part of his game. I think it's part of his game. And I think United fans do what United fans always do. They get excited by a new signing. They ignore any weaknesses about the player at all. They do a 1:45 clips of him making saves, and they flood social media with them. And then they come to Manchester United, and obviously we watch them week in, week out, and their weaknesses are still there, and then they get exposed in real time while we are watching, and the rest of the world, because more people are watching Onana at Manchester United than they watched at Inter Milan. The only time maybe there was more views was when they were in the Champions League final, because it's the Champions League final. But generally, on a match-to-match basis, on a week-to-week basis, more people are watching Andre Onana perform at Manchester United than they were at Inter Milan, and definitely more than they were watching at Ajax. So when they come here, um, you know, some people don't do their homework. Some people don't look at things. Some people buy too much into the hype. They see these big accounts put out videos of Andre Onana being like a god, just saving everything, and they don't see the mistakes because we don't put those in the clips, right? We try to hype up the player. But when the player comes and he plays at Manchester United week in and week out, and you watch him every match for 90 minutes, and he makes mistakes, well, people go, well, what the hell did we sign? And this wasn't what we were supposed to be getting. Then they get very angry because they feel misled, and they don't understand what's going on. So, yeah. What, I don't know what that. What's my favorite flavor? Lipsil? What's that, Grace? I don't even know what that is. I can't tell you. I can't tell you because I don't know what that is. Almost says, hello, bro. If we get rid of the goalkeeper, I would want someone who's classed, like Costa or Donnarumma, someone like that. Well, I don't know if we'll necessarily be able to do that. I mean, I get your point of view on that. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying a goalkeeper that's a learner driver, and I get that as well. And that's why, I don't get too hyped into the goalkeeper, because one, United's history of goalkeepers isn't one of a great record, and two, it's not my strongest suited position. Now, obviously, I know goalkeepers like Costa and Donnarumma. I know that they're on a certain level, obviously, but yeah, it's not one that I can go too much into depth analysis where I could say that that guy is perfect for the team because of, his diving, his build as a goalkeeper, reaction timing, and then go deep into statistics. I can't really do that for sore lips. Oh, says Grace. I don't know. I think did we call it chapstick? Is that the same or is that different? X says Amorim hasn't improved Onana at all. Our defense hasn't improved also. Just financially, it was wise to improve Onana rather than waste our money. They paid for him, plus a new goalkeeper. I mean, to a certain point, yeah. I mean, like, it would be beneficial financially if he can become better. But you know, Amorim's not training the goalkeepers. We have goalkeeper coaches for that, and that's what we have a coaching staff for. Obviously Amorim's involved in training the players as well. He's on the training pitch, but I mean, I don't think that's Amorim's strong suit to be training goalkeepers. That's why we have goalkeeping staff and goalkeeping coaches. And I don't understand how does he have to improve Onana if Onana was so world class at Inter Milan? There shouldn't really be anything to really improve if he was so good at Inter. Why is it he walks through the door at Manchester United and all of a sudden he's not the same player? I just think that it was a bit of overhype. I think he was in good form, but I think most of the people ignored his weaknesses. And now that we see it in real time, people are very unhappy because they don't do scouting properly. And also, part of the last regime, and when I say last regime, it doesn't just go under Erik ten Hag. It's all the managers previous to that as well. They don't have a good track record at buying players. So, like I said yesterday, I'm pretty sure like about 90% of the transfers that they bring in are failures, which is a horrible record in terms of transfers. So he could potentially be another one. I don't know if he's actually going to go anywhere. I guess we got to see if an offer comes in. But I mean, if we get a good offer, kind of like what they said, where if we get a good offer, we won't actually lose money. So a good proposal. And Saudi, so maybe Saudi actually plays because he's of decent age. yeah, if we get a good proposal, we won't actually lose money. So I guess we'll break even and we'll spend some extra money on a new goalkeeper um for the project. So yeah, I don't know. Chapstick, that's not a real word. It's an American word. It's American and it's real, Grace. um it's up to the manager and his staff to improve the team. It is. That's what the manager is there for. He's there to manage and improve the team, and his staff is there. I don't know if Amorim, but I wouldn't say Amorim is directly involved. I mean, I would put it more on his staff, which I guess I don't know. I guess it goes on him because he's in. It's his staff. But I don't think Amorim's not doing goalkeeper training. So the goalkeeper coach, that's it, part of his staff, is doing that. So I don't really know. You put the blame on whoever you want, I guess. But Lion says Onana was good for Ajax and Inter, but being the goalkeeper for United is just different, and that's also a good point because it is true. Bosnich, Talibi, Ricardo, Kuzcek, Carroll, Howard, Barthez, and the Danish one. I forgot his name. Who was the Danish one? I forgot his name as well. No, but this is what I'm saying. The goalkeeper position is and the goalkeeping record at Manchester United is not great. It usually, again, last time I said this, we usually have one that's elite, and then it usually takes us a few from when we have the legend one to get another one. And it usually takes us a couple tries. And that's pretty much been the history with our goalkeepers. So almost as I'm completely honest, I agree with Axe. Ruben hasn't improved anybody. In fact, people have gotten worse under him. I mean, I wouldn't say anybody, because I don't generally think that nobody's improved. I just don't think it's to the level that it needs to be. And I would still give him time for next season to see what kind of improvements we can really get. I think some players have improved. I think some players have regressed because the change in system and they can't adapt to the system. Like for one, Garnacho, I think, is having a worse season than previous seasons, and I think part of it is because he's having a hard time adapting to the system. I think players. I mean, there's players that have come in this season that it's hard to determine really if they've progressed or not because they're new. It's their first season, but I think Maz has been pretty good. I think Maguire has been good. Have they necessarily improved? I don't know, but they perform well. So I mean, Diallo was carrying on his form that started under a little bit under Ten Hag, but he kind of sent him away. And it carried under Rude, and it went over to Ruben. And then he got injured. I think Delo has been good as well. And Bruno. I mean, Bruno was kind of cold in the beginning, but I think he's gotten accustomed to things as well. And I think he's performing better as well. And maybe slightly Ugarte, maybe. I think Ugarte can still do better though. But yeah, I think it's less of a focus of individual and it's more on a focus on team aspect. Is the team as a whole getting or going to get better instead of individually? Because the team has to get better as a whole at playing together, performing together, and stuff like that. So I think the individual thing kind of just gets baked into there anyway. Because if the team is generally performing better as a whole, that means the players are performing and improving. But when you have the sort of changes that we've made, in my opinion, it's a changing period. So you're making progress, but progress it's not direct. It's not direct lateral, especially in the beginning. It's very up and down. So it's inconsistent. So it's a bit hard to judge. So, Onana is 30 next year, says Box. He should be at his peak now. No excuses for his poor fundamentals and poor form. I mean, but that's just what I'm saying. Like some of his, like you point out, Box, some of his fundamentals, I mean, that's just baked into his game. I mean, it's been part of who he is as a goalkeeper. But, yeah. Amorim has to go for injuring Delo. Well, this is what happened, Grace. We praised Delo yesterday. We said he's always fit and he's always available. Less than 24 hours. Delo injured, unavailable, and potentially might miss the rest of the season. So we've cursed him. We've cursed him. It's our fault. It's our fault. It's our fault. We've done him dirty. Almost as my opinion on this goalkeeper is nothing to do with his personal life. I don't care about his personal life either. His personal life is none of my business. What he does on the pitch, what he does on the pitch. Yeah, only about what he does on the pitch, not about his personal life. I mean, I don't care what any player really does on the in their personal life, as long as they're not breaking the law, you know, and doing something illegal. For the most part, I mean, you know, try and keep a decently good public image. Don't be like a dirtbag or something. But you know, whatever you do on your own time, you know, if you want to go to a basketball game or some shit, or if you like to wear jewelry, I don't really care about that stuff. That has nothing to do with really anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about him being a player for Manchester United on the pitch strictly. It hasn't been good. It hasn't been what I think many people thought we were getting, and it hasn't been what a lot of people were kind of expecting. It's been very inconsistent, and it's been sort of a disaster at times. I mean, when I have my rival friends, and the first thing they say is your goalkeeper is shit, and he needs to go. You know, it makes me think like usually they're just talking shit, but I'm like, well, if they're saying it too, I mean, and it's without you know, it's without initiating conversation. It's like the first thing they say to me, they're like, bro, you guys got to get rid of that guy. He is horrible. He is horrible. And usually the rivals will argue, please keep him because he's bad and they want us to do bad, right? But when something is really bad, they can't even pretend to like him. That's sort of where I feel like we're at. Compared to the younger guys like Højlund, Dorgo, etc., we should give more time. But Onana is a seasoned pro at this stage. Well, he might have just been the wrong buy. As well. You know, I will say, like, you know, obviously he was good to play at Ajax and he was good to play at Inter, but he might have just been the wrong buy for us, for United, for the Prem. And, you know, big possibility. I mean, we've gotten a lot of buys wrong, so it's possible. And all those goalkeepers I mentioned were a replacement for Schmeichel, by the way, before we landed Van der Sar. And that's kind of the thing. And it usually takes us a little bit to figure it out, which is why I wasn't too keen on kind of getting rid of De Gea, because I kind of had a feeling that this sort of situation, regardless of who it was, would probably arise unless we got really lucky. And that hasn't sort of been our thing at Manchester United. Every once in a blue... was it going to say... Well, every once in a red moon... you saw what I did there. If you know, you know. But... Every once in a red moon, we get a little bit lucky here and there on certain things, but generally things have gone very against us one way or another. So Anders Lindegaard, yeah, that was his name. Couldn't even put Van de Gaal in there. Access, sincerely, you can count Maguire's performance as an improvement due to tactical changes, but that's all. And Diallo was very good before. He was just benched. If you call our latest performances as an improvement, you must be joking. I mean, I don't know really, like, again, we changed the whole system. I don't know what sort of like improvements in terms of like that we're gonna go from like a mediocre team to like a top four team immediately, because because when you make the changes we make, in my belief, you're gonna go a little bit backwards because you're starting over again and you're starting from like sort of the beginning. So it's not gonna go smoothly. So I agree that generally, majoritarily, there hasn't been the large improvement that I think people are looking for. But it's not even about what people are looking for. It's actually what actually needs to happen. Um, but I'm willing to give the manager the next season to show the improvements in the players, but more specifically, just in the aspect of the team, just the team performances. Because if the team performances go up, that means the players' individual performances have gone up. But it's more about the team dynamic, and for me anyway, I don't try to necessarily break down too much individualism and individual performances, because it's more about the team. Um, but I think there are some players that have, when I say that they've improved, I mean in his system from when it started to now. I think there's been some players that have generally improved in playing and adapting to the system. I think there's some players that are still sort of struggling, and I think there's some players that are just clearly, obviously, that they're not. It's not going to happen, and they're not going to make it there. So, um, Sandy says Eric Ten Hag didn't know what he was doing. He used to choose the players which he was working with a long time ago without noticing the football in England is different with other English players. He's improved his bank account, that is for sure. I mean, not a lot. Um, not a lot. Could have got paid much higher somewhere else. And we didn't really give him as much as he probably could have gotten somewhere else. But yeah. I'm just doing something on my phone real quick. We lost 15 games this season. He has improved one player, let's be honest. Losing 15 games doesn't mean that no player has improved. That just means that there's growing difficulties in the team. Um, so yeah. I I think it's for I think it's two different contexts that we're speaking in here. You guys are looking at it saying that he hasn't improved anybody because the way the season's gone. I'm saying that when you make the changes to the system that we've made, and his general idea, it's just not going to go smooth when you're doing a complete 180 on the way you play. So obviously, in my mind, I already accept that there's going to be setbacks and it's not going to go smooth. I think, again, I will say, from November, from when he started to now, I see general improvement in the play of the team. Are things perfect? No. Are we close to being like a finished product? No. But from November to now, there's certain aspects within the team that have certainly improved in his system, and the way the team plays that system. That's what I'm saying. Is it significant? Not enough. It has to be more. And I think next season, I mean, that more has to come, because otherwise we'll have a bad season. So we needed to have a good season. But yeah, I'm not. Again, I'm looking for next season. So Yamal is 17, generational. Hoyland is just shit. Nothing to do with his age. He's just rubbish footballer. I mean, two different types of players, but yeah, I mean, not every player. I mean, you can't have generational players are not a common thing. So I don't know. Like, it's about having a team. You might have one or two generational players if you're lucky to get them or find them or have them, or even acquire them. The rest is just they're footballers. Some are very good, some are average, some are not so good. Um, But yeah, I mean, so many defeats under Amorim. Some of you are in negotiation and viewed the season as a preseason. Reality call. It's a humiliation. Literally worst EPL Ineos decision imploded the season. Well, it certainly turned into a preseason because and I you know what, I'm gonna be quite honest, I don't really care at this point. There was a point in time where we had the chance to sort of save it and salvage something out of it. It obviously didn't go the way that way, and I think because many things were overlooked. The fact that this guy's system and football ideology doesn't necessarily match the team exactly properly, but they have a long-term plan, and sometimes you got to take the short-term pain for the long-term gain. So um yeah, I mean, after a certain point I really stopped kind of caring, because it's just quite obvious that there's certain things that they're not going to be dealt with, and things aren't going to go, they're not going to get figured out, and they're not going to be straightened out in the in the middle of a season, playing 2 to 3 times a week. It's just not going to happen. There's other aspects that can play into our benefits, like the fact that he's started this job in November instead of starting it in June, which there's positives and negatives for that. Negatives is that, you know, we've had the season we've had, but positives is that he's gotten sort of a head start on this on his idea for the team, because he's evaluated all these players. He's with them in training. He's got a feel for the Premier League, which obviously he was inexperienced in, and now he has all that. So now it's their job to take the position that they have from that aspect and build for next season and make sure that next season is a better season, and there's much improvement to be made. You know, so this season is what it is. So Grace says, so if we sign Cunha, Delap, Ederson, and we get one more signing, who are you signing? It's a good question, Grace. It's a good question. I would I don't know. My part of me says a center back, but I'm not 100% sure. What the hell is going on here? Oh, okay, never mind. Part of me wants to say some sort of a center back. I'm not specifically sold on a center back specifically. I guess it depends who our targets are. But um yeah, maybe a center back. Maybe a center back. We were 12 when he came in. Everything is so bad currently. He needs like 12 new players to play his brilliant system. Just wait and see how that will turn out, huh? Uh yeah. Um we were 12th. Okay. So we're like 3 positions off from where we were. I mean, it was more of the same. I mean, nobody knows what would have happened with Ten Hag. You can make an argument that an argument that it would have been better if we kept Ten Hag. You could have made an argument that it probably would have went to shit under Ten Hag because it wasn't going great anyway. So, um, again, most Manchester United fans said the team wasn't good enough. Most Manchester United fans were calling and demanding for surgery in the team. They said we didn't do it from when Ranić said it, and I think this is what's coming now. So, you know, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting. Our team is horrible, literally conceding 4 goals against respectable teams. Yeah, I mean they're not good right now because things are changing in the team. So, um, I agree. It's not a good level to be at now, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay this way. Um, you have to give time and see what develops out of it. So, you know, especially when you make the change we make. Again, like the change we've made is not a normal change. It's not like we've gotten a manager that it's the same system that the team was sort of built for. So I mean, it's just quite obvious. I don't really dwell too much on it because I don't think that they're just. I don't think that I don't think they're picking things out of a hat. I think they have a plan for it. I don't know how well the plan will go, but I think generally, I think there's more of a plan now at Manchester United than there's ever been in 13 years. Right now, from the top to the bottom, I think there's more of a plan, a more structured plan, and a better idea than there has ever been in 13 years. With the way that we're moving as a unit, as a club. So, um, he started his season late because of Ineos incompetence, mind you. Delo is better right wing than Yamal. um, Almost says, do you think we can get Cunha before the last game of the season against Villa? Maybe. I think it's a possibility. I think we gotta wait and see because apparently Fabrizio said something about like we need one more meeting to sort out the details. So let's see. I guess I would say let's see what we get next week in terms of news. I expect some sort of bigger updates to follow, kind of like how we had this week. And we go from there. If it's as close as he's saying it is, because Fabrizio's saying that it's basically it's very very close. If it is that close, it can't take too long. I mean, because we're at the end of April, so that'd be another 4 weeks. I would assume somewhere around there. Because then at the end of May is the beginning of June, and June 1st the window opens. So I feel like in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, if maybe this thing can be done. And he knows how shit these players are. Some of them, not all of them. So it was actually good that he came in when he did. That's the sort of argument that is there to be had, right? Because many people were pissed at Ineos because they bring him in November, and they were like, well, clearly, with the changes that he's making and the difference in style and the difference in system and how the team is not really set up for it, they've kind of damaged his reputation in that aspect because it's basically almost an impossible job to get anything really concrete and solid out of that when you're in November and you're playing 2 to 3 games a week and you have, the training isn't the same training you get in preseason and when there's no league going on and stuff like that. It's just a different aspect. So, but in that, like, while that is true, that he kind of got screwed from that. I mean, he agreed to it, but I mean, he still got screwed from it. But also, if you look at it in a certain way, I mean, if they do their job and they do what they're supposed to do, so if like, our hierarchy does the job in terms of getting him players and proper players that fit the system and good players, quality players, and him and his coaching staff do the jobs that they're supposed to do as manager and coaching, they've technically gotten a jump start because he would have started all of this in June, and maybe it would have been, maybe this season would have been mediocre, depending on how it would have gone if we kept Ten Hag or we just kept Rude. As caretaker or whatever till the season was over. Nobody knows how this season goes. Maybe we wouldn't even be in the Europa League semifinal. Maybe we would have gotten knocked out by now. So, and maybe we would have been in or the same position in the Premier League. But then he would have come in June, and maybe what's happened sort of now would have happened next season, and next season maybe would have been worse than maybe what it's going to be. So, that's why we kind of have to give the guy some more time. And let's see how the window goes, and let's see how next season goes. If we still look the same team next season, like how we look now, we have big issues because that means that nothing is improving. And if nothing's improving, we're actually going backwards because other teams are improving. So that is not good. Rajat's in here as well. Sandy says, this is what we are saying. Ruben, he doesn't players who are weak, and he needs players who are strong. Some of our players are weak. And Grace says, I feel sorry for our left backs there. They're all so young and are going to have so much pressure on them, especially Amos. Well, we need to perform. So, why you need to have a strong mentality, strong attitude. Yeah, they might have some difficulty. I think you are right there, Grace, because Dorgo is young. I mean, he's 20. And Amos is what is he, 18? So, but I think they both have ability. So, I think they'll be all right. Actually, I'm not really too concerned about them. I like both them plays. I think they both have a high ceiling and a high potential. And I think for the most part, I think they'll be okay. Are they going to have some shit games or some bad performances, here and there? Of course, because it happens to every player and it happens in every team to every player. So, for the most part. So I think they'll be okay because I think they'll do more good than bad. At least, hopefully they do more good than bad. So yeah. Do you rate Luke Shaw, to be honest, Eric? What do you think? I like Luke Shaw as a player. I think he's a good player. But he is never fit and never available. So he's a liability. For me, if we could actually sell him, I would sell him. Well, if I had everything my way, I'd wave a magic wand and make him not injury prone and make him always available, and I'd keep him. But you can't do that, and more realistically, it would be to get rid of him. But that's even unrealistic because of his injuries. And Luke Shaw has never completed one full season at Manchester United. Never, ever, 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 ever. He's been injured from the first season we got him to the current season. He's never completed a full season. He's missed more. He's missed more of this season than he's played this season. So just a player like that, you just can't have that. But when he is fit and when he's available and he plays consistently, he's one of the best left backs. But because he's always injured, he's technically not one of the best left backs. So, I think, at one time he was Roberto Carlos. Why? Because he actually had a good run and he did a good period where he was actually able to stay fit and play consistently. And he was in very good form and he was playing excellent. And then he ended up getting injured. And then the cycle kind of restarted itself. I would sign the Lisbon center back. Well, there's Diamande. And there is, there's the other guy. And I can't remember his name, but there's Diamande at Sporting, and there's another guy. Grace says Luke Shaw is crap. He should be working at Cadbury's World. And Lion says the lowest crap. Now we're having a wingback argument here. Shaw's on the job seekers allowance. Do you like cigarettes? No. I used to smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Yeah, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I used to smoke cigarettes a few years back. But they were making me I was smoking quite a lot of them, and they were making me quite sick. And they're very bad for you, obviously, as everybody knows, but they're also pretty addicting. So yeah, I don't like cigarettes anymore. I guess at one point I did, right? So does Shaw's a big belly jiggle when he runs? I don't think anymore. I don't think he's not really overweight anymore, is he? Luke Shaw needs Listerine, bro. Oh my God. Grace says no, but the low is injured now a lot for carrying the team on his back. I mean, he has played a lot of minutes, and he's played a lot of matches, and this is what happens when we don't have depth and quality in the team, which is why I keep arguing that we need more players with higher quality in more positions. I'm never too concerned too much about playing time. There should be enough room for at least 2 players in each position, maybe a third that might be a bit younger, that's on the precipice, to be in the squad, because we play so many matches and these players play so many minutes and there's always injuries, so we need players to cover positions. And Delo has basically played like all the matches, especially since Ahmad's gone out injured. And because we've shifted Maz to a right center back, and we lost a couple players at center back, and some players at center back aren't really an option that is that great. We've kind of gotten screwed. I mean, it's kind of the same old story. I think Delo has just been sort of overused in a certain sense. Like many other players, I think even the likes of somebody like Rasmus, which is why I'm arguing we need a second striker. I mean, Rasmus hasn't had a good season, but like he's played a shit ton of minutes as well. And nonetheless, he's having a bad season, and he's struggling, and he has no confidence anymore. But he's probably also very fatigued in a certain sense, because there's nobody else to really play, especially now as well, because Xerxes injured. In the Prem you can play Cheeto, but this is what happens when you don't have the backups. What is happening now will also happen next season, and things might be worse. Just wait and see. Amorim can shut my mouth big time. Just win. The most essential thing in football is win. I mean, yeah, we all want him to win. We're just willing to give him the opportunity at the end of the time. You just want to send him to the grave before he even gets the chance to kind of do it. And I do agree that to shut people up, he needs to win, just like I argue for all the players. You don't like the criticism, then just go on the pitch and perform. But I think the job at hand, that he needs more time. I don't know. I know managers don't get 7 or 8 years, but it took Ferguson like 6-7 years to win the Premier League. The first season he came in was like they finished like 12th. The second season he went to second, and then they went backwards for 2 to 3 seasons and finished very low in the table as well. So, Arteta finished 8th twice. Pep first and sort of second season weren't great. Klopp's first and second season weren't that great either. It wasn't a regression to where we are now, but that's because they were at least operating as a half-decent football club when they came in. We haven't been operating as a proper football club in any capacity for 13 years. So our situation is slightly different than those anyway, which is why we are where we are. If by December the team is still 7th, 8th, or 10th, then it's probably time Ruben goes. But again, want Ruben to have success with us? Well, it depends. It depends as well. I mean, 10th is quite too low. December 7th, if we're not far off from the top 4 in terms of points, like, you don't want to be in 7th, but I guess it depends on the gap that's there. Because if we're in 7th, but we're off by like 5 points from like 4th place or something, then that's not as bad. But if it's like 7th and we're like 10 points off or some shit, then that's not great. And that's not a good look. 10th is too low. You can't be 10th. But 7th is 7th and a few points off, like 5 points off, isn't the worst thing, because you still have the remaining of the season to push yourself up higher. So again, it's just circumstances. It depends how next season goes, which is why we gotta wait till we get into next season and see how it develops as we go along. Do you have tiger pajamas or a onesie though? I have neither. I'm not 12. I don't have tiger pajamas, and I don't have a onesie. I find onesies to be quite weird. If I had a magic wand, I'd turn Sean into a chicken tender. Well, he might turn himself into a chicken tender, which would be quite dangerous. So And we have to be careful what we do with that magic wand. Almost says he's got to go, but I want to ask you one more question. When did you start supporting Manchester United? When I was born, essentially. My father would sit me down. I mean, obviously, I can't remember certain stuff up to a certain age, but my father would put me on the couch from, I don't know, 3 months old, watching the matches. Obviously, I don't remember that, but the times that I remember, maybe I was like 4, 5. I remember very slightly and very vaguely the treble. I remember sort of the last match. It was on TV. I didn't have a concept really too much of football because I was still a young lad. But I remember sort of the commentator going crazy. I remember them celebrating. Um, and I remember a celebration in our house about it. I remember that much. But yeah, my entire life pretty much. So, but we'll see you later, Almo. Um, yeah, the low is gone. I don't know. I'm just skipping through the chat. The low is clear and better, looking for more faithful. Do you think Rashford is Chester the cheetah, bro? It's, from the Cheeto commercial. Um, but hold on. Let's move on to this. Let's forget about Onana. Let's move on to Ahmad. Obviously, yesterday when we did the live yesterday, we were talking about we already did an hour. That's crazy. We're obviously we got the news that Ahmad will be back sooner than he was expected to be. We got this update from Fabrizio maybe like 3 hours ago saying that Ahmad will try to be ready for the first leg against Bilbao or the second leg. So Bilbao matches next week, the first leg, and the second leg is the following week. So we might have Ahmad back by that time, which is great. And then we had the update about Delo, which Ruben said that Delo suffered a calf injury, and it is a possibility that he will miss the rest of the season. He also then said, there's a possibility of an end to the season, but I don't know. We'll see week by week because he has to work really hard and can recover well. So we'll see. He has a muscle problem in his calf. He's been playing a lot of matches. We tried to manage it, but Delo felt something. So, I mean, Delo is one that he is generally usually good with the fitness and generally available. Also, I think with his friendship with Cristiano, he takes good care of his body. I mean, not that the footballers don't generally take good care of their body, but Ronaldo does that sort of above and beyond thing. I feel like Delo sort of tries to emulate that in a certain way, so maybe it plays to his benefit, and maybe he does come back before the season ends. And we kind of need that. Now it's going to be kind of interesting to see what we actually do, because we actually do have a problem now, because there's been a little bit of issues with Maz in terms of making sure he's okay fitness wise. And Diallo's obviously not ready. And we can't rush him back. Like, even when he does come back, he's not going to be able to give you 90 minutes. He's most likely going to be on the bench and get a couple minutes. So we're going to have to, in my opinion, I can't see anything else unless he, you know what? He might put Dargu on the right and he might play Amos on the left and maybe keep Maz where he keeps Maz, or he puts Maz on the right. He puts somebody else in at the center back position and plays like a back of Maguire, Euro, and I guess Lindelof, or maybe Shaw if he could give us some minutes, or he can play a significant amount of time. It's gonna be interesting to see what he does with this situation, because there's probably a couple things he can do, but I actually don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know what he's actually going to do. I don't know. I could see him shifting Dorgu to the right because he I think he did that in the first match. He played him on the right. And he could play Harry on the left, or maybe Shaw on the left, or maybe split that position between both of them. Maz can obviously play on the right, but Maz has been playing center back because we're a little bit short in that position. So he can possibly do that and put somebody else at center back. But I don't know how he's going to go about it. So I don't know how he's going to go about it. 1 hour talking about half-baked Luke. Elias says, I suspect um, my parents, no, my parents are United fans. Well, my mom's not really she's not really a football fan. My father the the United fan. Um, I suspect Ahmad will be named on the bench and it might feature the final 10 minutes or so. Well, hopefully, hopefully. There has to be more rotation next season. We can't throw Ahmad in and just get to the end of the season. Yeah, I mean, there does. And that's why we need to get the depth in the squad. We actually really need to build the depth in the squad. It's for me, it's a big issue. It's a huge issue, and I keep saying these things that like I just when I look at that squad, I just there isn't enough depth in it. There is a lack of options, and we spoke heavily on this yesterday. Amorim, for his benefit, but also just for the squad in general, we need as many options and as many positions as possible. And I'm not just talking about just bodies, but like quality as well, because we're gonna lose players. Next season, we will lose players. Players will get injured, whether it's short term or long term. Players are gonna get injured. We're gonna have to go a little bit deep into the depth of the squad, and we need these players to provide a certain level of quality as a replacement. And if you don't have it, you're screwed. So, you know, and it makes it harder to rotate. Because if you know that some of the players are, some of the players in your team are just incapable of hitting the level that you need them to, rotation becomes a lot harder because the team is becoming weaker and you need to win and you need results. When you have almost like two starting 11s like City did at one point, which is why they've done so well for many seasons, because they just subside any injuries they really get. I mean, obviously, Rodri was a big one for them and they didn't really have a replacement for that. But in basically almost every other position that they had, if they lost the left back, they had another one. If they lost the center back, they had another one. If they lost, some type of winger, they had another one. It was no problem. And we've lost certainly a decently good amount of players. And once it starts thinning out and you start looking at the squad, you look at the options we have during matches and you're like, I don't even know what I would do. And usually I have a very solid opinion on what I would do, whether it be right or wrong. But I look at it and I'm like, I don't even know what you do in this situation. Sometimes I look at the starting lineup we're playing and I'm like, we're not even playing that good. I look at the bench and I'm like, well, what the hell do you do? We don't even have anybody on the bench. There's nobody on the bench that's going to come in here and change the match. There's nobody. Like our team has nothing. So why don't you support a Malta team? I do, but they're just very I do. It's just not. There's no. It's not really professional. It's like it's essentially a farmer thing. It's a farmer league. It's very small. I mean, to get the matches, to even watch them on TV, I think they stream them on YouTube or something. If they even have them on YouTube. So I do. I support the town that my father is from, and it's a local thing. But they're not even considered professional. It's semi-professional, I guess. Because all the people that play on the teams, they have jobs. They don't make enough money from playing football. They have regular jobs. Some of them are bartenders. Some of them are my friends. Some of them are bartenders. Some of them, they do things. So I do, but it's just not something that it's not big enough. It's not, it's very small. So, um, I'd play Amos as box left wing back. Um, Yeah, I mean for the Bournemouth game, I would probably give Amos a go and maybe throw Dorgu on the right and see how that goes. Their favorite United icon is Jesse Lingard. Well, maybe he's your icon, but he's certainly not a United icon. Do you like Maltesers candy? Yeah, they're good. They're good. We got them over there too. So you don't support them because they're crap. Gotcha. Well, I support them. I have a shirt. I have a kit upstairs. I got the kit. I support them. But I mean, what do you want me to do? Do watch alongs for it or something? I mean, um, it's not big enough to talk about really unless I'm over there because it's local. Um, yeah, and it's semi-professional. So, do your parents like Man City? No. My father is a Manchester United fan, and my mom she doesn't care about football, so it's not her thing. Am I Maltese? I am Maltese. Yes, I am. I am Maltese. That's my family. All my family is from there. I am 100%. I am first generation American. So yeah, my parents came here as immigrants, and me and my sister are first generation Americans. So yeah. Finish out this injury update. Amorim said Ahmad is close. The lit is close, and Aiden Heaven is not ready. So MUFC, best player ever. Yeah, I mean him and the Teddy Tuma, the guy that plays I don't know where he is now, but he was in the French league. Yeah, Mifsud was the one for a while. Teddy Tuma made it pretty big because he made it to League One, and that's a big deal for us because our players don't really make it, to the top 5 leagues. I think he might have been the first one. Mifsud played in the championship, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he got any higher than that though, which was a big accomplishment for us because that was the closest any player's ever gotten. Um, that high. There's some players they go and play in Europe somewhere, and smaller European leagues. But my dad was an Arsenal fan in the house full of United fans. I don't know how did he manage that? How did he manage that? I will tell you this right now. My kids, when I have them, we converted him near the end. Well, I would assume the pressure was on. My kids will be Manchester United fans, whether they like it or not. And if they even as dare as to be a fan of another club, they will not live in my house. Call me a bad parent, I don't care. They're not living in my house. You live in my house, you will support Manchester United. There's no way I will live a life where my child supports Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and live in the same house as me. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. I will indoctrinate them into being a Manchester United fan. They have no choice. They have absolutely no choice in that. They can do whatever they like. Besides that in life, right? They can be whatever they want to be in terms of career-wise or, whatever. But that there's no negotiation. They must be Manchester United fans or go, you want to be an Arsenal fan? Go. The guy down the street's an Arsenal fan. Go live at his house. He'll take care of you. I'm not taking care of you. Yeah, any other team you've failed as a parent. This is like, I always find that, like, I know that's a joke, but like, I always find it kind of amazing when people are like some of my friends are like that, where like, they're a United fan, but they're like, nah, my dad supports Arsenal and my brother supports Manchester City. And I'm like, how does that happen in your house? Like, how did that happen? I don't understand how that happened. I was like, all of you should technically be supporters of Arsenal. And I just don't get how that happens. I don't know what goes on, but yeah. I find it quite ironic, and irony is funny to me. So yeah, let's go Burkakawa versus Valletta watch along. Well, that is the Premiership. So the thing is, like, where my family is from, Grace, we're from the other side. We're from Gozo, which is like more. It's more like farmer-ish. It's like farmland. I mean, what there's there's farmers there. There's not everybody is a farmer. What I'm saying is like the other side where Burkakara and Valletta is. That's the city side of the country. And it's more, you know, taller buildings and stuff like that. And that, so they have two leagues. So where my parents are from and the side that we're from, they have one league. It's called Gozo Premiership, which is semi-professional. And then they have the Malta Premiership, which is considered professional for the country. So yeah, that technically is more, but they still don't get. I think the people that play in the Malta, they get paid more, obviously, and maybe they're able to live off that. I don't know if they, because I don't know too many people that play over there. I don't know that side of the country. So I don't know if they make enough necessarily to make a living off of it, where they don't, where, you know, that's all they do. But I know from where my family is, I know that they don't make enough. Like, they all have jobs, every single one of them. Every single one of them has some type of actual job. They get paid a little bit for the football, but they all work jobs. Whether they work in a bakery or a bar, you know, maybe they're a restaurant server, maybe they're a chef, maybe they're a bartender, you know, something like that. They do something like that for sure. That would be funny though if we did that. Maybe we'll do it one day when I'm, you know, if we get some team. 99 Champions League final, we got a little fist pump when Ali scored from him. That was the best memory of that game. At least he gave you that much. At least he gave you that much. What is Maltese's best food? Well, we'll call it Maltese, not Maltesers. Maltesers is the candy. Our best food, we have a couple dishes. We have one called Ajane il Forn, which is a baked pasta dish. It basically translates to pasta in oven. If you translate it directly into English, or oven pasta or something like that. The translations aren't great to English. We also have one called Rus il Forn, which is rice, baked rice. It's a baked rice dish. Then we have something called, this is the kind of the, it's a food, but I wouldn't say it's like it's not like, I mean, you can make it a meal, but it's almost more like a snack. It's like a baked pastry type of thing. Not a sweet pastry. It's called pastitze. Pastitze it's dough, right? That is cooked in a bunch of butter and oil. They wrap it up, and inside they fill it with cheese. I think generally it's ricotta cheese, and sometimes they have sometimes they have ones with peas, and I think sometimes they put meat in it. But generally, it's either cheese or peas, and those are very fattening for you. They're very unhealthy, but they're absolutely delicious. And then the pizza. Pizza is just it's all over the place over there, and everybody kind of has their own different little family style of the way they cook it. But it's all very, very delicious. So now the chat's allowed to get off topic. It's Friday. The chat could talk whatever. Which league again is your team? We're in the Gozo Premiership. Gozo Premiership. They're called Nadur, Nadur, youngsters. So yeah. But I'm gonna jump back into the updates real quick, and then we can go back to randomonium sort of stuff. But let's do Ederson, because that was the big one. Ederson, Manchester United have discussed Ederson internally. They believe he'd be a fantastic signing internally. He's seen as one of the perfect candidates for Ruben Amorim's midfield, but Atalanta will not make it easy. And then Romano also told us that Man United's appreciation in Ederson is 100% confirmed. United like him and consider him a top midfielder. They believe he's the kind of perfect player for Amorim. Atalanta want more than 40 million to 50 million euros. United know Atalanta won't make it easy. They won't negotiate now. It's something for the summer, and there will be more clubs interested. So I think when it comes to Ederson, I don't think this is one I like to kind of saying pretty much based off of what they're telling us. I don't think it's one that's going to be done kind of like Cunha or Delap. I think those two are priorities. And I think once we finish those deals, then we'll start looking at maybe Atalanta and some more time will progress. Um, you know, hopefully sometime in like maybe late June. Definitely before preseason if we're gonna do it. We need to get the majority of these guys in before preseason. It's of the utmost importance. I mean, just looking at Ederson a little bit, I don't usually do this with statistics too much, but sometimes they do help. So this is his scouting report in the last 365 days versus midfielders in the big five leagues, including the big five leagues, but also the UCL and the UEL. So he ranks 73%, 73 percentile for non-penalty goals. He doesn't have a lot. It's 0.12 per 90. But he is, center mid, center defensive mid type of player. So he's not necessarily banging in goals. He does average 1.5 shots. So not a player again that shoots a lot, and he doesn't necessarily average. He's actually quite low in terms of assists because I guess of the position he plays. He ranks in the 19th percentile, which is actually low for assists. But in terms of more of what he is good for, shot creating actions, he's averaging 2.83 per 90, so he ranks in the top 72 percentile. For that, passes attempted is about 60 per 90, and that's the top 76 percentile. Pass completion is an 86.8% per 90, which the percentage sounds quite high, but compared to these other midfielders, he actually only ranks in the top 68 percentile, which is actually, I mean, it's not bad. It's obviously, it's decently good, but it's not like really elite. Where he ranks very high in is progressive passes, in the top 81 percentile, 6.45 per 90. And he has successful take-ons. He's averaging about 1 per 90 at 74% top percentile. He's good in the air, or decently good in the air, and he's decently okay at interceptions as well. Interceptions, he ranks in 67 percentile, averaging 1.17 per 90. And aerials 1, he's averaging 1.26 per 90 in the top 74 percentile. Let me go to like passing, because I think that's really where he excels the most. He seems decently overall well-rounded. I guess for that center mid position, it really makes sense. And maybe even as a center defensive mid, he might not be like super elite defensive mid, but I think if he's well-rounded, it can play. But if you go to the passing stats, that's pretty much where he excels a lot. In terms of like passes completed medium, he ranks in the top 89 percentile in all the top 5 leagues and UCL and UEL. 89% for attempted passes and 87% for pass completion, and those are medium passes. Long passes, he ranks in the top 85 percentile for passes completed long, and 73% percentile for attempted long passes, and 83% for pass completion for long passes. He also ranks 75% top percentile for passes into the final third, top 86 percentile into passes into the penalty area, and top 81% percentile for progressive passes, averaging 6.45 per 90. He ranks high 92 percentile, top 92% for switches, and he ranks decently okay for goals and shot creations. I mean, it's not like very high, but they're comparing these to midfielders, so um, shot creation actions, and this is take on top 95 percentile. Um, Goal creating actions, take on top 86 percentile. So he seems like he's looking at this. He's good in possession as well. He ranks in the top 88 percentile in carries, and top 83% in carrying distance. And carries into the final third, top 79%, and carries into the penalty area, top 78%. So he seems decently well-rounded in that aspect. I don't think he's necessarily elite in any sort of one thing, though. I think he's more of a general all-around type of player. With obviously possession and passing being his strongest suit, which I think Alma was somebody made the case earlier. I forgot who it was kind of saying that we need, I think it was RSV that kind of said that we need that sort of player. He seems like he's that sort of player. 7 teams, how does that work? I don't even really know, to be honest. Apparently, I think there's some sort of a relegation. I don't know how they do it, Grace. I don't know. There's a lower division below that division. There's a second division. So I don't know how they do that. I actually I really don't know. Because they're a bit quite confusing. But yeah. So is Maltese cuisine heavily influenced by Italy or Napoleon? Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of Italian restaurants there and stuff. And there's other types of food there as well, but generally the food it's Mediterranean. So I mean, pretty much most of the food you would find in any Mediterranean country in and around that area, it'd be like Greece, Italy, you'll find similar foods like that. Obviously there'd be slightly different variations, but eat top ramen then on live. Eat top ramen. Will Man United score versus Bournemouth then? I mean, we better beat Bournemouth. It's a match that we should be winning. So, do they get playoff crap as well over there? Maybe. I don't know. I got to look into it. I don't know how they do it. I don't even know. I actually don't know if they have relegation because I feel like it's always the same teams. I mean, there's one team that I don't even understand how they're a team. I think they're just a team just to fill out the league, to be quite honest, because this team, they're always bottom of the table. They always have 0 wins. I think they have 0 points, and they pretty much non-existent. And they're sort of just a free pass. So, yeah, it's and I never really looked into it too much because again, I don't live there. I live here, and usually when I go there, there's no season. So I've only been to 1 game in my entire existence because this is when I went in February. They had the league going on. When I go in the summer, the league is done, so there's no matches, so I can never actually go and watch a match. So when I went at the end of February, I was actually able to go and watch a game live and shit. But I'm usually keeping up with United. Could you imagine the championship having 1 team up, 1 team down? It would be so boring. Well, yeah, I mean, considering the fact that, there's so many teams, it would be. But, when you have a small league like that, to have 3 down, 3 up it's too much, I think. And, maybe they could do 2, but maybe that's too much as well. And I would only assume also that, like, the teams in the lower division, I mean, they might not even have relegation. It might just be kind of fixed because I would assume that the teams in the lower division, I mean they got to be worse, right? So like, I don't even know. I don't even know how they would be able to manage to compete. It's small towns. There's not a lot of money. There's really like almost no money in it. So it's just a local thing. It's almost like it's kind of like a school thing, you know? Like over here in America, like yeah, we have Sunday league and we have like with the towns, but like we have like school, like we have like high school and college sort of stuff. They don't really have that there. They just have like it's just local. It's just like town things. They don't have like, you know, it's not like schools play each other or stuff like that. I mean, they don't. I mean, how many schools do they have? So but the school is in each town, so it kind of goes hand in hand. So um but yeah. Yeah, that was like that little update on Ederson. Anthony, apparently, Real Betis are preparing a season-long loan to offer Manchester United to extend their deal for Anthony. And I'm just gonna say, Real Betis can absolutely do one. And if you want Anthony, permanent deal or f off. Unless I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily help us in our situation because we obviously want the money and need the money. The only way they're allowed to get a loan is if there's a guaranteed buy for the following summer. But I don't even want that. But just another straight up loan, that's completely out of the question and unacceptable. There's no way we can do that under any circumstance. And I would go as far as to I wouldn't even really give them the option to get a loan and a permanent deal. They've had him on loan. If you want the player, buy him. If you don't want him, then piss off, go get somebody else, and we'll look to sell him somewhere else where we can actually get money, because actually we need to get as much money as possible, and that doesn't help our situation to wait a whole nother year to get a transfer fee of 30 to 40 million for Anthony. So yeah, let's see how that develops. But I think Real Betis taking the piss a little bit here, trying to kind of scam us a little bit in terms of getting Anthony, a player that's probably their best performing player, without having to pay for a whole nother year. If you want him, pay for him. Otherwise, just go somewhere else. Garnacho from Fabrizio. We talked a little bit about Garnacho yesterday. Said United believe Alejandro is an important player with big potential. It would take a significant offer to persuade the club to sell him. He is not a player of 30 to 35 million. I feel like that's kind of obvious. I mean, it's good that this is sort of being reiterated, but I mean, United have been, or the stories have been quoting United around 50 million plus. I think they were saying that 50 million is still a little bit low and they want more. But yeah, I mean, that kind of just makes sense. And I think maybe we're playing a little bit of a game here as to like, they're not against selling Garnacho, but it's not like, I think they're reiterating the stance of Garnacho is not one where he's not Anthony or he's not necessarily Rashford. It's not somebody that we're necessarily looking to get rid of. But if somebody out there wants him and they want to pay us the price that we deem his value, then we may actually do a deal. With this potential 70, 80 million. I mean, it should be, but yeah, our club is one that apparently, I think if he was in better form and the circumstances were a little bit different, we could probably push that 70, 80 million. But because of the way the circumstances are, and I think that's what this is, like, I think they're reiterating, like, yeah, he has big potential. He might be sort of struggling here and there, and there might be a few question marks over him. But don't make a mistake and think like, because we want money or because we need money, we're going to offload him for 30, 35 million like we're doing for these other players like Sancho, Rashford, or Anthony. I think they're pretty much just saying like, we actually have no problem actually keeping him, but we're not against doing a deal if you want to give us like 60 million for him or something like that. And I think that's kind of just them doing this sort of reiteration about this. Now, if he was in better form and he was scoring more or doing better, and he was attracting all types of interests from some bigger teams, then I think, yeah, we would definitely be asking for like 70, 80 million. But I think they're sort of finding a middle ground by trying to get around 50 to 60, because I think teams are willing. I think teams want to pay 30 to 40 for him, and United are saying, well, that's a bit too low. We should, he has big potential. And also, I think they're just trying to shift the narrative as in terms of him, as to, it's not a player that they're saying that they're like, that they want completely out of the club. So it makes it seem like we're not desperate to sell him. Because if it's like, if he's a player that's deemed surplus to requirements, then typically you get less, right? Like, sort of like Cunha. Like, Cunha is a big player for Wolves. He's one of their best players, if not their best player. They don't want to necessarily get rid of him. He wants to go, but they would keep him. And obviously the interest in him is quite high, so they can demand like a good high fee for him. But Garnacho right now, it seems a little different, because it's like, well, he doesn't really fit in the system. There's sort of this feeling that he's kind of a bit maybe unwanted at United. And I think teams are trying to lower the price for him. And I think they're just trying to set the record straight in terms of that. No, we actually think that he's a player that has big potential. He might not necessarily fit into our plans per se in one aspect, but we're not going to get rid of him for 30, 35 million. If you want him, you got to pay up. So got to get at least 75, 80 million. I don't think that's going to happen. Not in this current situation. If he stays and next season goes very good, and he's like, one of the better performing players in the Prem, then I think he can rise to something like that. But at the current situation, there's no team out there is going to pay 75 to 85 million for him. So if we demand that, they won't pay it. They won't pay it. No one's going to pay that. No one's going to accept that. So yeah, I mean, if he stays and he plays better and he has a better season next season, and he grows up a little bit, it could rise to that. But right now, I think he's had sort of an average season. And there's some aspect to his games that aren't great, albeit he is young and he can improve in those areas. But just because of that, and because of sort of the situation of that, like, he's sort of unwanted, I think is pretty much the issue. Like, I think the general feeling is that, like, I think many people know that he kind of doesn't really fit the system, and that United aren't necessarily opposed to getting rid of him. Therefore, the sentiment around him is one that it's a bit different than normal. If Garnacho was scoring like 15 goals, if he, like for example, if Garnacho scored 15 goals this season and he had 10 assists, so he had like 25 GA, and he was one of the best performing players in the Premier League, and United were like, we absolutely don't, we're not looking to sell him. I think teams would then, if they really wanted him, they'd come for him and say, listen, we'll give you 80 million for him based off of performance potential and the fact that, to try and get you to sell him to us. But the fact that they're even slightly thinking about it, I think lowers the fee. And I think the fact that of his season performance and struggling to integrate into the system, I just think they'd probably take 50 to 60 million for him. Cesar Mawani, 9 views. Yeah, you're one of them, you dumbass. You jerk off. You dumbass. And now we have 11, by the way. So Cesar, say something else. Come on. I'm in the mood today to sit somebody down. And you're not part of this community, so I have a go. Say something. Say something smart. Say something intelligent. Nah, let him stay for a second. Let him stay for a second. It's all right. I want him to say something else. I want him to say something else. I like these guys coming in here, taking the time out of the day to comment 9 views on a channel, but they're in the channel and they're part of the, you know, like they don't have a life. They come in here, comment and shit like that. So say something. Come on, I'm waiting for you. Well, I'll stop the entire show just for you, Cesar Mawani. I'll stop the whole show just for you. Say something. Say something smart. Nah, he got scared. He got afraid. He got afraid. He got afraid. He's scared. He's scared. Leave him alone. He's a little troll. You know, those people, they live sad lives. It's okay. It's okay. I like them. I like them. You know, they come in here, they say 9 views, they give you some crying, laughing faces. Meanwhile, they got hot Cheetos all over their fucking stomach, laying down. They haven't moved in 17 days. Living in their mom's basement. They got no money. Sad lives they live. Sad lives they live. It's all right. I'm still waiting for him to say something else. I'm going to continue with my show, though. But Amorim had a couple things to say anyway. Said, he was asked on whether he knows which players he wants to keep. And he said, I have an idea, but things can change, which kind of open-ended. He's not typing. He came in here, he left. He's one of those. He's one of those little trolls. He's not typing. But Amorim on whether he knows which players he wants to keep. I have an idea. I have an idea, but things can change. So yeah, but he followed that up by saying something about Casemiro. Because I think he was, you know, he said on whether he can change his mind about which players he wants to keep. And he said Casemiro is good. Example, he wasn't playing, and then he performed well in the last few games. I like to change my mind. I just want to win and field the best players. Which I think you can take it as sort of a positive, but you can also sort of take it as a negative, because I think it's good that he shows adaptability to situations. I think I would say that he's a bit less stubborn than our other previous manager in some sort of an aspect, because I think Ten Hag, one of his biggest downfalls and one of his biggest problems was that he was very stubborn in the players that got to play and player selection and opportunities. I mean, you know, one of the biggest ones that comes to my mind is Ahmad. When Ahmad would perform well and he just like would refuse, and then it would go it would go hand in hand with like Rashford playing absolutely just dreadful, but Rashford starts every match. So I think to me it sounds a bit more like a positive to a certain aspect. It might cause some situations where there's a bit of sort of that perspective of maybe people will call him out for flip-flopping or something like that, but I think, you know, one of the characteristics as a manager is you have to have a certain level of adaptability. You know, that adaptability characteristic where, you know, you might think something one way, and you can go with it, but, you know, if things transpire, you should be big enough in terms of a person to kind of be able to assess situations and change your mind on certain things. And I mean, Casemiro, as he said, is an example for himself. You know, like I talked about it yesterday, you know, he wasn't playing Cas. It looked like Cas was absolutely finished. It looked like he wanted absolutely nothing to do with Casemiro. You know, he's had to play him because of some of the injuries we've gotten and stuff like that. But Cas has actually performed when he's come in and he's done well. And I think it's maybe changed Ruben's perspective a little bit on Casemiro. And I think he makes it. I think the biggest part of the statement is he just says he just wants to win and field the best players. which I think is actually a good indication because it should mean there's less favorites. It should mean there should be less favoritism. Obviously, every manager has favorites for certain reasons, whether they're buddy buddy with the person or they believe that player fits their system the best. There's always favorites for the managers, but I think specifically, it should mean that if a player is not playing well, and is not performing well, sort of like Rashford, that we won't see that player being constantly picked over and over again ahead of other players that maybe deserve an opportunity or a chance to prove themselves. So, I kind of liked that quote from him. And that was pretty much the end of what we got. There wasn't too much news today. There wasn't too much news. There wasn't too many big updates. I'm checking the internet just to see anything. Amorim said Ruud van Nistelrooy helped Ahmad a lot when he was manager, and now he helps me. Yeah, I think he said that a long time ago, though. So, Fabrizio came with an update. All right, here we go. 30 minutes ago, Fabrizio came with an update on Rasmus Højlund. He quoted... Oh, he just quoted Ruben Amorim. I thought there was an actual update. So all he did was quote Ruben Amorim on Rasmus. And Ruben's quote was, "A striker needs to score goals, so we try to help him, and he is trying really hard, and he wants things so bad, he makes it worse. He created one situation against Wolverhampton, and he is improving the small things. The goal will come." So, still sort of backing Rasmus, a little bit. You know, he hasn't thrown Rasmus under the bus. I think he's hoping that Rasmus does figure it out because he needs the striker to be scoring goals. So, but Fabrizio did say about 2 hours ago that Manchester United will be quite busy this summer. He said that on his YouTube channel. So we should have a filled transfer window. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the news. So we could just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Maybe the prick's long gone. wrong message removed. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, he accidentally removed your message instead of removing that dumbass's message. So yeah. I wish that guy stayed around though. What a coward. What a coward. What a coward. He came in here, said one thing, and ran away before I could even give him some back. What a coward, dude. What a coward. I'm up for it. Hey, listen, I'm always up for a good argument. I'm always up for a good fight. You know, every once in a while, I wish those weirdos would jump in here because they don't operate in logic, and they're just strange people, and they're very easy to sit down, and they're very easy to make them look stupid. So yeah. Yeah, I wish he stuck around. I wish he stuck around. I love being an argument. Me too. Especially when it's with people that don't argue in logic. Because you just make fun of them. It's actually quite entertaining. It's I always laugh. It's you know, I don't really get like too I don't get angry per se. Like I just laugh at them because they don't make sense. They don't make sense. Like I remember that one guy came in here one time and he was like, he just said like dead channel, and I was like, dude, but you're in the channel, like you are somewhere in the world, and you've joined this show to say dead channel, but like, what are you doing with your life? Why do you have time to come into my show to spread hate and say my channel is dead? What are you doing with your life? Like, you know, if my channel's dead, your life is dead. And then when you tell them things like that, they get very upset and they go cry. So, because they know it's true. So yeah, so it's like that guy, you know what I mean? Just came in here, 11 views. I mean, you weren't here the other day. And our channel's doing actually quite good. So, you know, and the algorithm brought them here, so it works. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like they found the channel and they joined the channel and they actually added in giving me a view, and they actually added in giving me view time, and they actually took the time to actually put a comment as well. And they don't realize that they're actually doing things good. Meanwhile, they're trying to hate. So I always find that quite funny. It's actually something that happens on the internet quite a lot. Like, there's many people on Twitter that they post ridiculous shit. Some of them, they just post flat out lies on purpose. They know it's a lie. It's not like, you know, they're misinformed or something. They know it's a lie. They know it's false. They know it's completely wrong. They do it because they know they're going to get interaction from it. And I always find it quite funny because I go into the comments and people are vigorously angry at them. Like, telling, why are you lying? Stop lying. You're, you know, full of crap, blah, blah, blah. And they're going crazy on them. And like, I wish I could just grab all those people and just be like, stop commenting to the guy because you're doing what he wants. And like, I like, part of me wants to put a comment and says like, he's literally doing this on purpose for interaction, so just ignore the guy. But then like, I would be feeding into him as well because I'm also adding a comment and I'm also adding to his thing. So like, I don't do it, but it bothers me very much so because I'm like, you people don't understand what these guys are doing. Like, they do it on purpose because they don't care. They don't care what you think and they don't care what you say. They don't care if they have 5,000 people telling them to go F themselves, or if they have 5,000 people, you know, bigging them up. They just want responses so that they get more views and more clicks and being pushed out there. So that ass probably clicked the live button and was actively looking for channels to drop a stupid comment and leave. Yeah, I mean, he probably got sent over here from one of the other channels or something like that as well. Yeah. I mean, but those people live sad lives. I've done that once or twice on them AI United videos. I don't anymore though. Yeah, I mean, because all you're doing is you're helping them. You know, think about it this way. Oh, he's here. I come in peace. You don't come in peace. You came in here and you started laughing and saying that we have 11 viewers live, and you're still here. You're still here. You know, what have you been doing this entire time? You're still here. Or you've come back. I don't know what you're doing. But what are you doing? Can I ask you what you're doing with your life? What are you doing? You come in peace. You come in peace. I think you're like 12 years old because you're using weird emojis. You're either a weirdo or you're 12. If you're 12, I'll let it slide a little bit because you're a kid. But, you know, you might, you know, he might be a kid. He might be like 10 years old. That might explain it. If you're older than 18 and you act like this, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You got to grow up or something. You got to get a life. But you know, was talking shit, mate. I'm here to support you. I mean, I guess it's kind of a weird way to do it. You know, we don't know each other. You know, you come in here and you say 11, you say 11 viewers, and you send me crying emojis. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, genuinely, I feel like I feel like you're just trolling. But I mean, if genuinely, if you're here to support me, you know, I would just say that, like, you know, maybe try and do it a different way, because that doesn't come off. That doesn't come off like you're trying to support. That comes off as you're trying to hate on people. So I'm just giving you some advice there. But I mean, are you interested in football? Do you have any interest in football? Are you a United fan? Do you have anything to say, you know, about United or football, or are you just like some random, just like floating through the lives? You're toughening me up. Bro, you don't even know me. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know. You're toughening me up. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. You have no clue who I am, bro. You're a diehard Man U fan, buddy. Okay, well that's fine. That's good. I would like it very much if you gave me some opinions on Manchester United. Maybe we could start off that way, and maybe we can get to know each other or something like that in terms of you know an opinion on United or something. We could start off on that foot, and then maybe once we have some sort of an established relationship, we could joke with each other back and forth. But when you come in here the way you did, we don't know who you are. You say nothing about what we're talking about, um, and you start going at the channel. It just seems like you're genuinely just a troll, and slash a hater. Because this is the internet, bro. Shit happens like that. And I can tell you very much, I really don't give a shit. Um, in terms of people that really act like that. Again, I laugh at these things. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Give me an opinion on something. What do you feel about United? What do you think about Amorim? What do you think about the current team? Something about the players, anything. I want to know that from you, the most part, at the very least. At the very least, give us something United related. You could say anything you want, pretty much. I mean, keep it clean, please. Otherwise, I will kick you out. But you're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to say whatever you want. I prefer if you give me an opinion. But I'm just saying, you don't know me, I don't know you. But you toughening me up. That's not how that goes, bro. I'm fairly good with internet trolls and shit like that. That's not a problem. I wish I had more of them actually at sometimes because it's good for content. It's good to clip up and use, and make fun, and then put that out there. So it doesn't cost anything to be nice. If you gently want to support, then welcome. RD is a growing channel, so support is always welcome. I mean, yeah, we are a growing channel. I mean, yeah, so I got 11 views, or 11 viewers. You think that bothers me, bro? At least I have 11 people, At least I have 11 people. On a good day, we have much more. The past 3 shows we've done has been actually very excellent for a small channel. I'm not, I'm not a personality in terms of I don't have large followings on social media. Nobody knows me and nobody needs to watch me. So if I have 5 people in here or I have 50 people in here, it's all good for me. I'm grateful no matter what. It doesn't bother me in the slightest bit in any way. I'm still waiting for him to give us something about United. I'm still waiting for him to give us something about United. Give us something, dude. Something. Even even if it's unpopular, you got a hot take or something, anything. I feel like he's left again. I feel like he's left again. Or maybe he's just letting me ramble on, but that's fine. What should what what we need to do is schedule. No stream tomorrow because it's Saturday. Oh, here we go. He says, okay, my personal opinion, but I'd sell Garnacho. All right, fair enough. A good start. I would ask and say, for what reason? For what reason? Do you not like him as a player? Like, what reason would you sell him? Because I am one that I am a little bit in between, selling him and not selling him. I I kind of don't want to sell him. I can see why they would sell him, but I don't know. I feel twisted about it. I feel like he's a young player and he has potential, and I feel like United way is we should kind of see it out and see his development out. He's a good player, but I'd cash in. Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I'm kind of somewhere around that. I'm kind of somewhere around there as well. Because I feel like he doesn't necessarily fit the system per se for Amorim, and I think he can only play the number 10, and he sort of struggles to play there. He's fairly selfish, and his decision making isn't the best. But I like the guy. I like the kid. I think he's a good player. I think he has high potential, and I think it sort of feels wrong for me for us to sell him because it feels ununited to sort of do that with the player of this sort of potential and ability at that age. But in terms of a football sense, I mean, if we sell him and you get somebody else that fits the project, I'll kind of accept it. But if it's just strictly just for money, I don't really like that. I don't really like that too much. I don't. But yeah, I mean, I could kind of see why they would do it. I could kind of see why they would do it because he doesn't fit the 10 necessarily that good. He's too tunnel visioned. There's no guarantee we work that out of his game either. There's no guarantee that we work that out of his game. It can very well. But you know, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with the kid. And I have his kid upstairs, so that's not very good for me either, unfortunately, as well, because I thought when I bought it because I felt like he was going to be a generational player, and I felt like he was going to be at United for at least the next 5 years. And now it seems like we might, you know, he might go now. So it's like I've wasted money on a kid I'm not going to be able to wear anymore either. Because how are you going to wear a kid of a kid that doesn't play for your team anymore and then goes on somewhere else to develop and maybe becomes good at that team, you know? And it depends where he goes as well. So, Garnacho, here he is. He's back, Axe. Garnacho got destroyed by Amorim. I mean, but what do you mean by destroyed? I mean, he's not destroyed. It's not over for him. Ineo's decision ruined my kid. Not necessarily. I mean, you know, what I mean, I was kind of sort of joking about the whole kid thing. I don't really care too much about the kid. It's a kid. But he might not even go. He might stay. He might stay. What if he stays? What if he stays? What if he stays and he becomes good next season and he's even better? You know? He might stay. I think it's 50-50 with him. But this is football. Shit happens. Ray's here as well. Ray says, I don't sell Shaw. Keep him with the kids and he can play multi-position. And says, hi, everyone. Red Devils. Well, I mean, I just think we can't even sell Shaw. I don't even think it's possible to sell Shaw. You know, so I don't even think I don't even think we can actually sell him. So I guess we just gotta probably do what Ray says. Anyway, I think realistically that's the only option that we really have with Shaw. Because I just don't think there's any team out there. I think a team maybe in the bottom half of the championship would be interested in Luke Shaw. But Luke Shaw is not interested in going to a team in the bottom half of the championship. And also the team in the bottom half of the championship, they don't have the money for that as well. So I don't think there's any team out there that is willing to take the gamble or the risk to take Luke Shaw because of his injury record. So yeah, but see, you say nonsense, but when I say these things, I'm not saying it's because he's a bad player. Again, he is a very good player. He is a very good player, but with his injury record, I don't think there's any team out there that would be willing to pay money for him and pay him the wage that he's on and know how injury prone he is. I don't think any team would actually do that. I think they would look at that and say that's bad business. I think they would look at it and say that is a waste of money from our perspective. He's very injury prone. And why would any club buy a player like that? And that's why I say maybe a championship team, because championship teams would obviously take his quality, and they would obviously take the gamble if they could even afford it, but they can't afford it, so he can't even go to something like that. Now, when he goes on if his contract was up and he was on a free, maybe there would be some other teams, that would be willing to take that sort of risk and give him a wage of some sort and take him to the team and give him a go, because they're not paying a transfer fee for him. But I feel like if you have to pay a transfer fee for Luke Shaw and you have to pay him probably around the same wage that he gets now, I just don't see, I don't see a Premier League team trying to take that risk. I just don't. I just don't see it for that reason. It's not because he's a bad player. It's because of his injury record. It's strictly because of his injury record. And that's really all that is. I think teams would evaluate that and and look at how many games he's missed and how many games he's been available for, and they're like, it just wouldn't make sense. They would just go get somebody else. How much would he even go for? I mean, like, what, even if you were to sell him, what would be his, I don't even know, like, what his current status is in terms of, like, how many years does he have left on his contract? What is his, like, general price tag? Transfer Market has him listed at 16 million euros. His contract expires in June 30th, 2027. So he has 2 years. He has 2 years left on his contract, and he's an estimated 16 million. At one point, his highest market value ever was 42 million, which was twice. It was in July 15, 2021 and June 20th, 2023. Estimated market value. His current market value is at 16 million. So I feel like taking the leaf out of axe, I'm telling you, short injuries are behind us now. Next season, you'll be saying how lucky we were not selling. Well, I hope. I mean, listen, if that happens, Lion, I'm all for it. I would love nothing more than Luke Shaw to be able to stay fit and be available to us, because I know that there's a good player in there, and he would play an important role in the team, and we can use that. And there's been so many times where Shaw was playing good, he got injured, and we were basically crying for him to come back, because he would go and fall apart on that left hand side. But I just don't know how somebody with that sort of, we don't need no players at the back, maybe goalie. Well, maybe not. I'm trying to think. I need the list of players that we have. Because I don't know, my mind is just playing tricks on me and making me feel like we're going to need another center back. Because Lindelof is going and Evans will be out. We do have Heaven, but all right, let me look at this list. So there's Yoro Martinez, De Ligt, Maguire, Lindelof, Heaven, and Evans. Right? So that's 7 actual center backs. We're going to lose Evans and Lindelof for sure. So we're going to have 5. We play in a 3. So, and then we have Maz can integrate into the center back and switch in and out. And we have Shaw, if he stays fit and he's available, he can also go in and out of the center back position. So we have somewhere between 5 to 7 players, including those guys. And at right back, we have Delo and Ahmad, wing back, and possibly Maz with rotation. But the five main guys, I mean, if we lose, if a thing that we have to be careful with, I will say though, is Maguire picks up little injuries. Delit seems to have problems with little injuries as well. And Martinez has had two back-to-back seasons with season-ending injuries. So three of our center backs are slightly prone to injuries, I would say. Euro was young and he had an injury, came back, but he looks all right. And Heaven also sustained an injury. He's young, and I don't think you could say that they're injury prone in any slight way because they're still young, and we just got to see how that goes. So I don't know. I feel like we might need one center back, but maybe that might be too much at a certain given time. It might be too much at a certain given time. But you know, if we lose a player or two to injury, we we would then need somebody back there. Um, I feel like we definitely need a midfielder though. Probably more so than the center back because and there's Ugarte, Cass, Collier, and Mano. Ericsson's going. Um, and we played with two, and we have technically two backups. And then Kobe, we don't know. Maybe Kobe will be jumping from central midfield to playing in a 10 at certain times. And then there's Bruno and Mount as two tens. Garnacho plays in the 10. Diallo can play in 10 or wing back. There's Rasmus as striker. And then there's Xerxes as a 10 or striker. So our top goal scorers this season is Bruno with 8 goals, Diallo with 6, and he's been injured for a good part. Garnacho has 5. Rashford has 4, and he hasn't played since December, I think. Something like that. And Xerxes has 3. And most assists is Bruno has 10. Diallo has 7. Delo has 3. Xerxes has 2. And Maz has 2. So yeah, I don't know. Won't like to see Euro playing next game. According to Grace, with the size of Shaw, there's at least 2 players in there somewhere. She's not wrong. The United side is good for a full view full of players. Yeah, because they include they include. I'm looking at this on Transfer Market because I was already on the website. They include like the Utes and stuff. It goes into great detail. Um, will you take Neuer as Man United goalkeeper? I mean, he's a good goalkeeper. Um, the thing is, isn't he quite old now? He's 39 years of age. Ah, do we get him on a free? If we get him on a free, why not? Um, but he's 39. I don't see the future in that. I mean, he maybe as a backup. Is it his time to become a backup? He's played 10. Doing. He's got injured. The matches in the Champions League. See, I mean, he's still good, but there's just not a lot of. There's, I, I don't know how much of a future is that in a 39-year-old goalkeeper. Um, Mags gets injured quite often. He does. Like, he picks up these little injuries. I mean, they're not like season-ending injuries that he gets, but he does get sort of 2, 3, or 4 injuries where he's out for like 2 weeks or so, here and there. I hope Amorim will get his players so he can prove himself. Well, I hope so too, but it's not about Amorim. It's really more about United, and so that United can actually go through the project, and do what they got to do, because these signings that we're making, obviously they help Ruben, but they shouldn't be glued to Ruben. They shouldn't be glued to Ruben, because if Ruben goes, the plan at United has to carry on without Ruben. And that's why I said last time, managers are no longer the king. Um, Not how modern football runs anymore. I wouldn't say they're necessarily a pawn. They're an important piece. Maybe they're like a knight, or the horse knight. Um, I wouldn't say they're a pawn. I think pawns are the players. Um, but they're certainly no longer the queen. Um, they're certainly no longer the queen, because the projects aren't necessarily built in that way anymore. They're just there to help the projects on. So he has 2 to 3 years left, maybe. Would you take Oliver on his goalkeeper? He's only slightly up. I don't know about the goalkeeper position. I don't know. I don't know. We'll save it for another time. Listen, I'm gonna go, guys, because I gotta go work out. I gotta go work out. So yeah, I gotta go do that. I gotta take care of a couple other things as well. No live tomorrow. It's Saturday. There's Premier League football, but we're not playing. We're playing Sunday, right? Because I still get confused because we had a week off. Yeah, so we're playing Sunday. We're away. I play Bournemouth. This is going to be another early one for me, 9 o'clock in the morning. And so we will be live after the Bournemouth match. I hope we win. I mean, I feel like we should well do with the win. We should be getting win at the very least. We've had a week off in terms of no game in the middle, so we should be a little bit more rested. But we got to see how we're going to line up in terms of now we've lost the low at right back, so some sort of a shift is coming. I would play Amos and give Amos a chance and Amos a shout. Ancelotti is going to Brazil, so and Ancelotti. You know what? Considering Ancelotti plays a 4-4-2, and he stated that that is his favorite formation, maybe it would work better. But I have no problem with dismantling and kind of rebuilding the team. So, yeah. But Ancelotti is going to Brazil, so that's not going to happen. And we're not going to fire Ruben Amorim anyway. So because we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna spend that. We're not gonna spend that money. So must be great to wake up to live football sometimes. But if you have a late night on Friday, and I'm talking about like a late night, like if you have a late night and you're up or out till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you gotta wake up for the match at 9 a.m. Very rough. Very, very rough. Or if you've had a long week, if you've had a long week with work, and you kind of want to sleep in, and you stay up a little bit late because it's Friday, you kind of lose that on that day too. So I like it when, see, I got a little bit of taste of it last summer when I was in Malta and the season started, because the games are at night. I enjoy that very much. I like the games being at 7, 8 p.m., sort of like how our basketball or our NFL games are here. I like that because it's night. you can chill, you can relax a little bit. So good night, Rajat. And Lyle says thanks, Reds. Yeah, there's the Discord. If you haven't gotten the Discord, and drop a like on the channel as well if you didn't do that. But there's the Discord link. Lyle has put it in there. Ray says bye everyone, good night, and see you Sunday. Yep. See you all. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see you guys after the match on Sunday. Real quick, I just wanted to look at the form before we get out of here. Not the form, but you know, statistic wise. Statistic wise, what are we looking like here? So Bournemouth, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 1 win in their last 5. We have 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 win in our last 5. So we're pretty much performing the same. And statistically wise, Bournemouth have no losses in 3. We're without a clean sheet in 4. And between us, head to head, Bournemouth, no losses in 3. So whether that's draws or wins, and we're without a clean sheet in 3 of the last meetings with Bournemouth. 5 out of the 6 last times, there have been over 2.5 goals, so there should be some goals scored. Bournemouth have scored first 5 out of the 7 times we've played them, which is crazy. And that's actually not good for us because right now we're not doing great defensively. We're in a sort of bad defensive period. And we need to stop conceding first. And we need to stop coming from behind and playing from behind. So that's not really a great statistic. Hopefully we break that streak and we score first, and also we win the match. But hopefully we score first. Head to head, the last 10 matches, Bournemouth 3 wins, 1 draw, and United 6. Last time we played them in December, they beat us 3-0 at our home. And the season before that, we tied 2-2 when Bournemouth was home. And December 9th, 23, they beat us again, also 3-0. That was under Ten Hag. They beat us 3-0 at home once again. So, yeah, I mean, if we get a win, good enough. I could see probably a draw with the way things are going here and the way we've been performing, and just off of the recent matches, I could see a draw for tomorrow. Couple goals in it, maybe 1-1, maybe 2-2. So we'll see. Hopefully we win. Time to return the favor. I mean, that would be good if we did. But considering that, you know, I don't know what we're gonna get. Again, this team in the Prem, fairly inconsistent. Sometimes they play decent. Sometimes they play like they completely lost. We go to Europe. We do all right. Somehow we manage to the semifinal. I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna get. Hopefully we get a good United performance. We've had a week off. We've had a week rest, so we should be a little bit more rested than we usually were. And hopefully that plays to our advantage. I mean, they play a 4-2-3-1, which is sort of defensively sound. They also have Semenyo, which is somebody that's been linked with us. There's Clouvier. There's Evan Nielsen, Tavernier, and Adams. They got Husin back there in center back, and Kirkez. So I mean, you know, decent team. They're not Southampton, that's for sure. And let's see. I mean, what if Johnny Evans plays tomorrow? That might be something. His line says trust the water, Eric. 3-0 United. I hope so. We need to win. Play Giggs, Rooney, CR7 ahead. Boom. I mean, yeah. I mean, if we had those players with those characteristics, I think we would be much better off. We don't really have those types of players in our teams anymore, unfortunately. So, Bournemouth, a mixed bag of results for them last 5, so there's an opportunity for us. Yeah, but us too, you know, we're pretty much the same as them. We're really no different, which is why I can see a draw. I honestly, I'll tell you this much from a statistical standpoint and not from a Manchester United fan standpoint. So no heart going into it, just statistically looking. I can honestly see a draw happening. I don't know how the draw happens, 1-1, 2-2, but I could see a draw happening. We've been pretty much performing pretty much the same the last few matches, and they're in 8th and we're in 14th. So they have almost they have they have 11 more points than us as well. So that's not that's not good either. So but we'll see. We'll speak after the match. Everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Fridays, and enjoy your Saturdays as well. And we'll be live after on Sunday. So if you want to get involved in the comments after I end the show, and we'll chat a little bit in the Discord today and tomorrow as well. So thank you, everybody. Be good.